Roundup was introduced by Monsanto in 1974 as a revolutionary herbicide primarily used in agriculture to eliminate weeds while protecting the crops. The chemical herbicide has been at the center of global debates, lawsuits, and investigations for decades. Its story is deeply intertwined with Monsanto, the agricultural biotech giant that developed the product and later became part of the pharmaceutical multinational Bayer. Lawyers and plaintiffs have made allegation that its active ingredient causes cancer, particularly non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Greetings, Patriots. I'm Perry Green. Welcome to our God in America podcast. I watched a farming documentary that included information about Monsanto, Bayer, and the product Roundup. It made me think of how we're paying for our own demise. After facing billions of dollars in lawsuits, Monsanto became part of the Bayer international industry. In addition to the tried and true Bayer aspirin, the corporation produces expensive chemotherapy drugs. One is for a treatment that fights non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Bayer creates the chaos in the poisonous weed killer we buy, then coincidentally has the remedy for the cancer it generates in its chemo drugs we also buy. It's a win-win for them, and we pay for it. That's not the only concern I have of late. Our education system, not most teachers, but the system, has a similar bend. One of the reasons the fat cats at the top of the U.S. Department of Education fought its removal was because they lost their gravy train. American taxpayers have spent countless billions of dollars at the state and federal levels to educate our children. Every year in Oklahoma, our education department pressures our legislature for a bigger piece of the budget pie, claiming it is for the children, while threatening to campaign against any official who votes negatively. The Oklahoma Education Department accounts for the largest share of our annual expenses and consistently demands more. Our state ranks number 50 in the U.S. in education, proving it's not about how much money you have. Throwing more money into the problem is not the solution. Yet look at what we do. We pay taxes to have a school system that indoctrinates our children against their God, their parents, and their republic. We pay for school buses to pick up our children at inconvenient hours and deliver them to these indoctrination centers. Well-intentioned teachers pass on curricula developed by the deep state to distract our students from authentic learning. They're not accomplishing their task by George Soros paying their tab. They're doing it with our own money. President Eisenhower was the supreme commander of the Allied forces in the European theater during World War II. He understood the intricacies of combat and the need for a strong defense. Less than 2 decades after the conflict, he warned us of the military-industrial complex in his farewell address on January the 17th, 1961. The term military-industrial complex, coined by Eisenhower, refers to the close relationship between a nation's military, government policymakers, and the defense industry that supplies military equipment and services. This link, according to Eisenhower, has the potential to wield lopsided power over public policy, often prioritizing profit and militarization over the welfare of the citizenry. He stated, in the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. His concern was that this influence could erode democratic processes and lead to an imbalance in national priorities. We've seen Ike's concerns play out in Korea, Vietnam, and the Middle East. The government's insatiable appetite demands increasing taxpayer monies so they can contrive wars, draft our young people, and set out to destroy nations. We never did find those weapons of mass destruction George W. Bush said were in Iraq, but we did pay for our sons and daughters to die on foreign soil for nothing more than a fundraiser for international bankers, nefarious politicians, and governmental agencies. The Marxists have even infiltrated and taken over our churches by getting into the seminaries. During the COVID scam, a seminary in Kentucky required its faculty, staff, and students to sign a COVID covenant. There were some valuable parts to that document, but the red flag was the sentence stating the signers would always obey the government. As a result, Pastors and ministers, for the most part, preach a watered-down version of the gospel to maintain an inoffensive status and unlimited submission to the national authorities. Churches are paying for their own demise through their tithes and offerings, supporting unwitting preachers. The government wants to be a god and must distract Christians from the genuine deity to usurp his authority. They're using their trained clergy as Hitler did in Nazi Germany to accomplish their objectives. Time would fail me to tell of more pharmaceutical practices that prefer to keep us sick rather than cure us, that we pay for our unalienable rights, and how enslaved we are thanks to Woodrow Wilson, the shady actions of his Congress, and the apathy of our grandparents to fight governmental overreach. We need to wake up and capture the spirit of our patriot ancestors. James said, "Therefore submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." Thanks for being with us today. Please like, follow, subscribe to, and share our podcasts. If you'd like to contribute to our ministry, please go to our PayPal link on our website, and also you can mail a check to our address. Until next time, let's keep the light of refusing to fund our demise burning.
Yeah, if we turn